I just turned you down. Like that. Oh, it was out.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to open the City of Benton Harbor Commission meeting, call it to order. Based on the invocation from Commissioner Harrelson and the pledge of allegiance led by City Manager.
Lord, we thank you for your loving kindness. We thank you for your tender mercy. Bless each and every one that's here on tonight. Let this be a grateful meeting on tonight. This we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams. Commissioner Edwards.
Present.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Present.
Commissioner Henderson.
Here.
Commissioner Henry.
Present.
Commissioner Isom.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Commissioner Singleton.
Present.
Mayor Muhammad.
Present. Is there a motion for the approval of the regular minutes? Motions made by Commissioner Henderson, supported by Commissioner Singleton. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
No, there's some correction. It needs to be in the minutes. So my answer is no.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
You didn't allow me to do that.
Is there a motion for the approval of the special minutes of January 15, 2020? Motions made by Commissioner Henderson, supported by Commissioner Isom. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henry.
No, there's some changes to be made in them minutes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes, with all necessary corrections.
Commissioner Adams.
Same.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Is there a motion for the approval of accounts payable listing? Motion is made by Commissioner Henderson,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Is there a discussion? Carry none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
No.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to our monthly update. We have with us our honorable commissioner representing us in the county of Berrien. I yield the floor to Commissioner Mamie Yarborough.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor Muhammad. To the commission, to staff, and to our community, I thank you for this opportunity. What I would like to let you know is that on January 28th, from 8:30 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m., the Treasurer's Office is hosting a show-cause hearing for taxpayers with 2017 or before taxes that are in danger of losing their properties. This is a taxpayer's chance to come in and to make an agreement or an arrangement to go into a payment plan so that they will not lose their property. What we would like to let you know is that on this January 28th, you can come to the county building on Main Street in St. Joe and talk with us and enter a plan. Also, anytime the treasurer's office is open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5 p.m., except for Tuesday, when he is in the Niles office located at 1205 Front Street. That's the county building in Niles. You can go there also on Tuesdays from 9 to 12 p.m. Also, we're holding extra sessions, and we've done this now for a number of years. So I'd like to let you know that on February 12th at the Waterloo Public Library from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., you can go and meet with the treasurer and enter a plan. On February 15th, you can meet at the South County Courthouse from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And on February 29th, you can meet at Benton Charter Township Hall from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. These are all the times. And so we encourage you to do that. And I would just like to let you know that we have over 800 people in a payment plan. They're getting caught up and able to not lose their property. And we've had a 93% success rate, meaning people are doing the best they can to do what they said they would do. And also, and I continue to bring it up, and I hope that this is something you all will consider. I come to the meetings and I hear you say when you have the bills, why are we paying so much for cutting grass? Or why does this cost that? And as I've said to you, and I hope that our interim or our acting city manager will at some point meet with our treasurer and talk about this, is possibly putting the tax-owned properties that are vacant or whatever, the city-owned properties into our tax sale. And what can happen is we have a sale every year in July, and we have a sale in September. What the treasurer asked me to relay to you is that the city properties would be listed in our book that we put out in a certain section saying city properties for sale. We will start them at whatever price you want them to start at. We have an auctioneer that does our sales. So after the other properties are sold, and many of them are still in the city of Benton Harbor because they are owned by the treasurer, but you have some that you own. So the auctioneer will auction them off after the other part is over, starting at whatever price you wanted to start at. The treasurer, the county will not charge you any administration fee or anything for the listing in the book for the auctioneer. What will need to happen is that you would have at least 2 clerks or someone there that will accept the dollars. There's a certain amount you pay to bid, and then if you receive the property and have the highest bid, then you pay for that by 5 o'clock that day. So those are just the basics I want to let you know, and how it works or whatever. You all would work it out with the treasurer. That way, it would cut down on the cutting the grass, and the treasurer figures out it costs about $650 per property per year. So if you had 10 properties, it's $650. If you had 100 properties, it's $65,000. So think about that, because there are properties, and the reason, and this is what the county knows, because we had all those properties in our land bank and we had to pay to have them cut. And now that bill is gone from us because all those properties are gone. So, and it puts it back on the tax roll. So a lot of good things can happen from that. And he said, be it the July sale or the sale that we do in September, all the properties that the county puts in start at $50, but the city properties can be at whatever rate you want to start it at. So that is what I want to let you know, and you all have a blessed day.
Thank you. Thank you. This brings us to our audit presentation. Year ended June 30, 2019. Please rise. We have Mr. Paul Matz of Reman Robson here with us today for his presentation.
Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to provide the results of the audit for the year ended June 30 of 2019. The goal, as far as the audit goes, is to provide assurance that the financial statements are accurately stated. We want them to be useful for this group as part of your decision-making processes. In addition, one item that was new for the year ended June 30 of 2019 is, given the funds that were spent as part of the community development block grant program, there was some additional compliance testing that we were required to do For this audit, that is not required when there's smaller amounts of activity that are taking place. At the conclusion of our audit then, we issue our opinion on the financial statements, and we also share any comments, findings, and recommendations with you as well. Pleased to report that for the year ended June 30th, 2019, we issued the unmodified clean audit opinion. That's the opinion you want to achieve during the course of the audit. It's the highest level of assurance that we can provide as part of the audit. Related to the audit findings and the results, there were two items that we noted during the compliance testing of the CDBG program. Those items related to it's a couple of items with the reporting process that takes place and also the requirement to have written policies over certain areas. Those items have been discussed with management, and to my understanding, there's already been corrective action that's taken place on those. So I wouldn't see that as being an issue going forward. It was a little bit of unique, like I mentioned, there were a number of tests and things we had to look at that we haven't had to customarily look at as part of the audit. One item that I wanted to mention as well is we also issue a letter with just some general comments and recommendations. These aren't what we consider findings, they're more just internal control considerations for you. And one of them related to segregation of duties over the income tax collection process. And really what we noted here is, it's a relatively small department, and the process of recording cash receipts, collecting the actual funds, recording that in the accounting system, and then making the deposit with the bank. Our recommendation is generally just to segregate those duties as much as possible. I know that there was some concern with tax collections coming into the treasurer's window. And what I can tell you from that, from our perspective, and keep in mind, we're on site for 5 days, not for the course of the year. We did not observe that taking place at all while we were on site. And through the discussions, the inquiries we made with staff and the contracted accounting firm, we were not made aware of any issues of that taking place through our discussions with any of that. So I did want to point that out to you as well. There are a couple of items in the financial statements that I wanted to also bring your attention to. As I mentioned, we're responsible for issuing our opinion on the financial statements. You'd find that very near the beginning of the report. And again, that's that clean audit opinion. There's a section right after that referred to as the management's discussion and analysis. It's about 6 pages of information, and I like to point this out because the full financial statements are 70 pages and growing every year. And this provides a very good high-level summary of the financial results for the year. There's comparative information to last year as well, so it's a little bit easier to see some fluctuations and some trends within this particular set of pages. I also wanted to touch on the general fund results for the year ended June 30th, 2019. If you have a copy of the financials in front of you, that can be found on page 20 of the report. For the year ended, the general fund saw an increase in its fund balance, which is the third line from the bottom of that page, of $1,513,451. That brings the ending fund balance to $5,993,035. Oftentimes, we like to provide some perspective to that fund balance number. And another way of looking at that is there are about 9.5 months of expenses in that ending fund balance number. And certainly that increase for the year is largely attributable to the continued income tax collections. There's a lot of information found in these reports. I could give you the 2-hour version. I would be happy to do that. I understand most boards are not interested in the 2-hour version. Questions, any areas you'd like me to touch on in more detail, I would be happy to do so.
Chairman recognizes Second Ward Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the chair, just looking at that, could you give me a clarity on what is perpetual care fund balance and what is their duties?
Perpetual care is The way to think of that is a fund where there's a principal amount of corpus principal amount that should stay permanent. So think of if the permanent amount was $100,000, you'd be able to spend earnings on those funds, but that $100,000 should stay in place at all times. So that's really what the permanent aspect is referring to, is the initial amount that should not be touched, essentially.
If I'm reading right, they can touch it, right?
So the comment there related to, there's the perpetual care fund, and then there's also the separate entity for the cemetery operations. And there was $100,000 that several years ago now, I can't recall exactly when that took place, but their $100,000 was forwarded from that perpetual care fund over to the cemetery for, I don't know what the purpose was, operational purposes. It's been many years.
There was no document with that.
Point of order, please.
Exactly.
There was no document with that. Go ahead.
So, and we've had this comment for several years, and not been aware that that money has been at any point paid back to that permanent fund.
So we don't care. So we don't have any documentation who did besides state management, right? That's all the document we have, that who moved it.
Yes, that's before my involvement. It's been several years, so if there is documentation, I'm not aware of it.
I would like to hear. I would like to know if we could possibly get some type of documentation on what happened during that time. Because it also says something about selling or it was sold. I'd like to have a list of what was sold, what was the purpose of moving it. If it's not supposed to be touched, why they touch it?
Yeah.
So I'd like to have a list of that or some type of documentation.
For the sake of clarity, I'm going to read what it says. The perpetual care fund balance in advance. The city will discuss and seek approval from the cemetery board to transfer from the cemetery component unit to the perpetual care fund. The $100,000 represents amounts received by the component unit for the sale of the cemetery assets that were purchased with the perpetual care interest and were sold by the emergency manager prior to 2015. So this was an action that was executed by Tony Saunders II when he, under Public Act 436, went into a management agreement with the current manager of the cemetery, North Shore. So this manager actually, I'm reading from a letter to the Department of Treasury, Community Engagement and Finance Division, where Mr. Mitchell is actively tending to this issue. Thank you.
On that, is there anything under the state emergency manager that was done that we can undo since they're gone?
Well, this action, as we're moving forward, certain things have been undone, rescinded, and there's other things that we have to still yet address.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm not sure if this is something that the gentleman from Reedman can answer or not, but along with that documentation, can we also get to become knowledgeable of how the city of Benton Harbor became affiliated to oversee the cemetery property in general? Because I don't think that it's our property. I just think that we have jurisdiction, or was given jurisdiction, to take care of and oversee the board that makes the decision. I don't know, but we need to know that information. And I'd like to thank my colleague, because I had that same question. Thank you. Documentation.
I will also read the segregation of duties, city income tax collections. The city will designate an individual outside the income tax collection process to make bank deposits of the checks and money orders received for city income tax payments. However, the process used in 2019 was low risk because no cash is accepted for city income tax payments.
So what needs to change?
This is again a letter from our city manager to the Department of Treasury in response to the corrective action plan and the findings. So the only thing that would change would be that you would have someone outside of the office to make deposits.
And who makes that decision?
City manager.
Okay. Alone, so what?
It's all under day-to-day affairs and administration. But I will say that given and the auditor can weigh in, with this being the first year, completing our first year of income tax collections, I think that, the timeline of it passed in November and we started collecting in January, and, I think that the process that has been put in place, certainly from the very beginning, was not perfect, but I think that as time has gone, we're making the proper changes. And
I would agree, and management has been open, receptive to, the recommendations we've had, and we've talked through ideas. So I would agree absolutely.
Pay for that.
Mr. Manager, if you have any?
No further comments. We've responded, and I'm glad to hear that they've been accepted.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
This brings us to our next item, which is the public hearing. I'd like to declare the public hearing as open. Yes. Pardon me. Citizens' comments, 3-minute maximum per speaker. This is also public participation, so we don't want for anyone to feel like they have to be a citizen to comment.
Emma Kennard.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'd like to say, or repeat again, we really need to have a finance director here. That's putting your house in order. And we've been without one for some time. So I'd like to have an answer. Is there a finance director in view? Because we really seriously need to have these things and make things flow, I believe, a lot better when you have things in place. Am I going to get an answer? Because there's been times that I have brought things forward and never received an answer to this day. So I do want that answer to somehow or another. You all have a finance director in mind. Have you put something in place? Yes.
An RFP will go out, request for services, job
Okay.
service.
And one other thing I want to say, we're doing a program, it's 275 Pipestone this year for Black Queens That Rock. And we have gotten quite a few of the ladies all in line that will be honored for the work that they have done in our community, the outreach that they've done. And I'm really proud of these ladies that has been made as a choice. Each year, Juneteenth will have this event to go on as the Black Queens That Rock, because many times Black women are overlooked by many. And I think this is a time for to uplift them and make them realize what queens they are. And that really is wonderful to sort of let them know that we see what they're doing, we honor what they're doing, and they're great, and they're strong women. And I think we should have a big audience for our men to give us an applause. And the only ones that won't is the weak men. So all the strong men, y'all give us an applause for having the Black queens that rock.
Marvin Haywood.
Good afternoon to the commission. I'm gonna be kind of brief today, but Paul made a good question. He was talking about management discussion, and when management, we need an economic development. You know, a lot of these units were cut out under the emergency manager. And when you talk about economic development, that's the department where you develop your inner city. We know it's going through Southwest Michigan, but I'm talking about we need one in-house. As well as when you talk about when we used to have a director of community development, and he had people that was working upon him, as well as economic development. And I think a lot of these positions need to be put back in-house and put in the budget, because as we move forward into 2020, there will be a lot of things going on. There will be a lot of money coming through. We have put forth, as we say, with the racial equity initiative, and we have a lot of things. If you go to the site, you can look at some of the things that I think can be done in-house and can be done through the commission. We'll be looking in November to put something on the ballot. Right now, we're in the process of putting out a petition so that we can put the racial equity hub in play, so that we can create the dollars that are needed to put the inner city back where it needs to be. Over the course of years, there has been a lot of financial dollars that have come through the city of Benton Harbor. There's been a lot of planning, but when you talk about the inner city, there's not been a plan for the inner city. And I'm still, as I've asked so many times, how can you have a master plan that does not include bringing along the inner city as we move forward? There's three entities that work together in a community. That's your school board, your city government, and your churches. And we have to all get in line and be on one accord in order to move things forward. The best thing that we can have is an understanding. And I've always been with the fact that there's others that may make decisions and have plans that may not be in the best interest of the community. And so as we move forth in this new era of time, we have to be conscious of what is from what seems to be in order that we can move the city forward. He spoke also on the finances. A lot of times, anytime you have finance that's moved, there's got to be an agreement or paperwork to go with that funds to show what it is needed, what's going to be done with it, and how it will be allocated. Anytime there's fund that's moved without any kind of paperwork, then that would be a misappropriation of funds. So we have to be mindful of that as we move forward. Like I said, it's a great year. Great things are going to happen. With or without the city government, we have to move things forward, and we can't allow others to come in with thoughts and ideals that may not be in our best interest. So I hope all of you, as we move forward, I've been asking each and every entity to come up with a plan or something that you're passionate about in your committees and bring us an update on what it is that you're going to accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Duncan.
I know you guys are in a hurry, so I'm gonna say what I have to say fast. And I know most of you won't agree with it, but I'm gonna bring it back. I see we got B and Z trying to get a lot of money. I won't say how much, but I'm the type of person, if you sock me in one eye, I'm not gonna turn my head and let you sock me in another, in my other. There's some kind of plan in place to watch our sand on our beach. That beach means a lot to me. And when our sand came up missing off the beach, which nobody really wanted to talk about, and I really haven't had a real good discussion or heard a real good discussion about it other than it was an accident and I just said this, that, and the other. But it did leave our beach and there were lies told about it, about the amount of it, that there were people that saw the trucks leave with it. And I know this has nothing to do with this city manager of ours now. So I'm not actually pointing my finger at him but I'll point my finger at the rest of y'all because y'all really didn't have much to say other than Commissioner Adams. You smiling faces. Is there something in place other than watchful eyes, other than our police department, or maybe our new city manager got some good eyes, he can keep an eye on it. But I don't trust any of the rest of you guys to know what's going on the beach as far as our sand is concerned. The citizens don't know about it. But I hope they're listening today because I want our eyes on our prize. And if you feel like it's gonna happen again and get away with it, I'm coming at everybody. I'm gonna call the police on everybody. It's a lot of money going to a company like this. And I don't care. You guys don't have to even care about me after this, but thank you for hearing it.
Thank you. That concludes the public participation, citizens' comments portion of the agenda. I'd like to declare the public hearing as open. The applicant presentation or overview of the proposal, could you please proceed to the podium or the desk?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name's Kathy Tilley. I'm with Cornerstone Alliance. I have here with me Matt Rogatz, who is the new owner of 825 Riverview Drive. And we are here tonight to request a commercial rehabilitation district for that property in hopes to attain next meeting the application for a commercial rehab.
Please speak into the microphone.
I'm sorry. I'll be louder. So we're here to request for the district, to set up the district for commercial rehab at 825 Riverview this evening. The resolution is attached in the packet, I believe.
Could you please just talk about what you plan to do with that property, please?
Yeah, Matt Rogatz, I'm the current owner of that property. So it's my plan to rehabilitate that building. It needs a completely new roof. I'm in the process of putting a roof on just to get it under control, that building. So I'm looking at doing a banquet facility, event center, and it's still in the works what I'm looking to do totally with that property. But right now it's a banquet facility, certain events, corporate events, activity center. It could be birthdays, could be communions, could be whatever. So any kind of events for the community and bring people there, as well as a destination type place so that people from Chicago, people from Indy, can come up here and have weddings at this facility, maybe incorporated with the park across the street, and have weddings at the park and then come across the street and have a good time. We're looking at putting a rooftop deck on this facility. There's going to be some structural things that need to be done because it was never planned to have a deck up there. But I'm investing in structural rooftop elevators, new windows, cleaning up the whole outside. It's going to be a really nice project. It's going to take a lot of capital. So
Approximately, just ballpark, and I know this is all kind of money in the air. What kind of investment do you?
So I've gotten some numbers, preliminary numbers, and it's maybe around $1.5 million. So if anyone's giving out loans for me, I would appreciate the money.
So the commercial district is an economic tool provided from the state of Michigan for projects that require rehabilitation. This property is AKA the All Faiths building.
Correct.
And the request would be for an abatement if the district is granted or established, which would put it at 50%.
No, the commercial rehab district, is an abatement for up to 10 years on the property taxes. Yeah, so it basically, it doesn't freeze it, but it holds the taxes at the rate that it will be this year.
Mr. Mayor, you allow me to?
Yes.
So Kathy's correct. So the commercial rehab is up to 10 years and we come in and ask for that abatement. But it's important to note that taxes will continue to be paid on this property. It is a falsehood to state that there will be no taxes paid on the property. So the abatement is based on the new investment that Mr. Rogatz may or may not put into the property. Now, one other thing that's important to note, Benton Harbor's millage rate is approximately 64 or 65 mils. So for the sake of this argument, let's just say it's 64. 24 mils of that is education tax, 18 local and 6 state. So 24 of the 64 is education. That is not abated under any circumstance. So 24 mils, Mr. Rogatz will still pay 100%, and that money will continue to go to the Benton Harbor School Corporation. The other 40 mils is the portion that is abated, and again, only half of that is abated. So again, approximately 20 mils would be what would be abated. He'd still be paying 20 mils locally, 24 mils to the school corporation at 100% of the value.
And whatever
is existing already.
Whatever is existing already.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Chair will open it up for commission discussion, questions, comments. Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you. So what is it valued at now? We don't have assessors here, so thank you.
Well, right now, it was purchased at a lower price, so it's up to the assessor to reassess the building.
Purchase price won't necessarily mean what the assessed value is.
What the assessed value is, yeah.
This is not correct.
Right. Again, just for clarity, we're at here for, if this is established, we're saying, okay, 24 meals, Cleveland stated, for the school would be 100%. Would that be on the existing, or would that rise in value with if it was reassessed for?
Correct. Sorry, that's a great point. So again, I'm just gonna throw numbers out here, but let's say the building is assessed now at 300,000 and Mr. Rogatz puts $1 million in and the value of that building goes to 1.3 million. It won't, those are just numbers. You would pay 24 mils on that $1.3 million on the full value. And the abatement would be on the other portion.
Only thing that would be locked for the 10 years would be the taxes on the
Non-school mills.
not school meals at today's current value.
The chairman recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I was so happy, so hoping that we had someone coming before us like the other large development that's going on with the El Rico property. Someone that wasn't asking for anything other than a blessing. I don't know how this works, and I think I heard the mayor ask it, but in a different way, but my comprehensive level is different than everybody else's, so I'll ask him my understanding. And that with deeming something as a rehabilitated or rehabilitation district, on a federal level, what does that mean? That gives you an opportunity to get those abatements?
Yes,
Or
part of the
explain it?
state requirements for the certificate is that you have to set the district first. For any of it, for any type of exemption certificate, you need to set a district.
Okay, and I guess that was my next question, because when I first read this, I could understand arts district and, you know, just identifying a place to be or a place to go when you're pointing out some place that you want someone to meet you. I hate that our city assessors in here, because I wanna know why the whole city isn't deemed a rehabilitation thing in itself. Because that's what definitely needs to happen. The whole city is in rehabilitation mode. So I'm just trying to figure out who's here that can answer the question as to how we, as a whole, can benefit.
Well,
We really, it's a government meeting, so I really would like, and I'm requesting that those who have the floor be given the respect, and that sidebar conversations, outbursts, please keep them at a zero tolerance.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams.
I wasn't done.
Okay.
so a lot of the parcels in the city, they're either zoned commercial, they're zoned industrial, they're zoned residential.
So it has something to do with zoning as well.
As well,
Okay, so this is educational for everybody that's listening. Thank you.
yeah, so any of the commercial businesses that are zoned commercial can be put in a commercial.
I love the idea. I mean, rooftop action too, where somebody go and have a wedding
You guys gotta come.
anniversary.
It'd be
Something
really nice.
different to overlook the, kind of like the bay,
Yes.
Beautiful
the
river.
bay, some lights out, light action out somewhere. I mean, just something different for growth.
Yeah,
It's
it's
good.
gonna bring people to the area.
And that's what it's about too, attracting people into our area that wants to bring their money into our city instead of us always taking ours outside.
Which
I'm
means more
all with
tax
that.
money. revenue.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's gonna be an overflow of as well as people coming into the city and spending their money and going to restaurants and.
Okay,
Getting
okay, and
hotels
we have to eat and party somewhere, but how about the rental of such an elegant place? Cause I'm sure it's gonna be a thing of beauty. That's a nice piece, a large property, and you're talking about something rooftop too.
Yeah.
With a fireplace for the winter time,
Yeah,
with the one row.
I don't know if anyone's gonna go on the winter, but,
I can go with something like that. I like nice, elegant stuff.
yeah, it's gonna be.
Some people may fuss and argue about it though, but I do. And if I had the money to do it, I would probably be down here too.
Yeah.
But how much would something like that run for somebody that has a dream of getting married? And you've invented or created this nice, elegant place for them. I mean, it's not something for the poor.
Well, yeah, right. So, it's all about supply and demand, right? And what the market will bear, right? So, I mean, I can maybe charge a little premium, but I can't be greedy.
Okay.
Because people can't afford it.
Okay, so
So,
my next question would be.
Commissioner,
Wait,
I have,
As a
Commissioner,
Benton Harbor resident, we give discounts to Benton Harbor residents. Will you have something like that available for Benton Harbor residents? Didn't may want to.
I haven't thought about it. Investing so much money in this building,
Mm-hmm.
and the improvements inside, I don't know
I understand
what's
that's-
possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
and just for, this is, the district is 825 Riverview, so it's just this particular parcel.
Correct.
That's requesting the commercial rehabilitation. The chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Thank you,
Commissioner Henderson to file.
Mayor. Y'all ready?
Sorry.
Question is, are you bringing your own contractors? Or will you hire local contractors?
Yeah, that's good. I'm a local guy. I hire local. So I've already begun a process of, there was a lot of water damage in this building. I mean, it was just pretty bad. And I own a lot of property, and this was bad. So I had to put the new roof on. That's, I don't know how much it was, $300,000 or something like that, capital. So the point is, the people that have helped me clean up the building are local. I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named Jack Campbell.
Yes.
Okay, Jack came with the
Get that
building.
money, Jack.
I inherited Jack. He's my best friend now. He's a great. So Jack has hired some youth from the community to help clean up the building, and I've spent thousands of dollars cleaning it up and paying those youth. So that, coupled with the roofing company is local here. That's a lot of money. I've hired a local Benton Harbor architect to do the architectural designs and plans. It's a heck of a lot of money going to the local. So everything I'm doing so far is local, and I want to keep it local.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask all my questions and then I'll just let you go because I know it's a long meeting. Do appreciate that. And hopefully they were paid a prevailing wage. Hopefully pay them. That's just a joke.
I think Jack's very happy. Jack's very happy.
Anyway, good work, all right, so, part of respect. And this question goes to, Cornerstone. And it's a concern of mine that every time we show up with a tax break. Every single time there's a project coming from your entity. We did the same thing with another property that has still not been developed. And I do understand and I'm grateful. Thank you for hiring local. But it seems like every time we hit the plate, it's with a tax break. And people who are bearing the brunt of these tax breaks are the residents. So I do commend you for coming and I thank you. But I would indeed ask that, I very seldom see in the paper, City of St. Joe getting the tax break. Very seldom see other municipalities around getting a tax break for prime property. Because nowhere else can you go that they're surrounding a city that has touching that many large bodies of water and the price that we pay or the price that we give. Not saying that the building doesn't need it. The building does need a lot of help. I'm grateful somebody is taking it on, but I see the bigger picture too with the partnership on with those condos that are condemned right now
with the tax sale getting ready to happen, and then we're gonna convert those. And then the school is right there. And I don't know what's the big plan from 10 years from now, school. But hopefully, every one of us can come together with the same vigor and the same strength to say, let us all help with Benton Harbor area schools and beautify the building, not just down there. I think that if we all can partner and better the educational system, because there's no use in a kid in a building that's crashing down and we're building up everything around them. Because that's it, gives me a sign that recreation, partying and whatever is more important than my education. So I do thank you for coming, but I do ask the question, and I stand on that, because we bend over backwards with a lot of projects, and then we're always told that, you know, we should be happy that development is happening, and we are happy. But I think a lot of times our statistics are used in order to get certain things from the state, from other municipalities, or from the federal government. I just would ask that we try to find some other partners that we don't have to come and, you know, tax break us to death. Because right now we're a nonprofit organization. Seems like we're not getting a whole lot of profit from a lot of projects that are going on now. So I thank you again for hiring local. That means a lot. And that speaks volumes. Because a lot of people don't hire locals. And a lot of people don't care if people don't hire locals. But I do care, and I commend you for that. But hopefully in the future, we can come. And if we're going to give tax breaks, let's figure out a way to give some locals some tax breaks too. Why don't we approach some local business and see if we can help them figure out a way to better their business? Because you are the Chamber of Commerce. Well, you were the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if you gave them that title. So thank you for coming. Good to see you, Mr. Cleveland. Thank you for coming. And again, thank you for hiring locals. You guys hire locals too. I want to appreciate Cornerstone for hiring locals. You guys hire a lot of locals too.
Thank you. I'm happy to address that very briefly. I'll just say a couple of things. So first of all, it's important to note that just about every other municipality that we work in this community gives those tax breaks. And those tax breaks are granted to you and to these companies by the state of Michigan. And I would also say every time we come to you and are asking for a tax break, we're also bringing somebody like Matt who wants to invest in your community. We can't give tax breaks to people who aren't investing in the community. So I think, as you said, Commissioner, we're grateful he's here and we're grateful he's investing, and we're trying to utilize those taxes. The other thing I think is important to note, and I think all of you have heard me say this before, you know, economic development has really changed in the last 10 years since the recession. We're no longer just competing for companies. We're competing for home builders. We're competing for developers like Mr. Rogatz. We're competing for people. And we're doing that in Benton Harbor, which is the highest millage rate in Berrien County. And again, we have a ton of assets to sell, and that's what I go out around the country and sell. There's great assets here to sell. And so the millage rate is what it is. But that's one of the reasons why we have to ask for these breaks, is we're competing for these developers that can go to Grand Rapids and Detroit and South Bend and make money and do things. So again, these are the tax breaks that are offered by the state of Michigan. And again, tonight we're here to talk about district, and we're happy to talk about anything else. But your point is certainly noted, Commissioner, and I'll start coming more often and for other things as well.
Commissioner Henderson.
I just have a question, a real quick one. Is your project, so your project is contingent on this being established as a rehabilitation district. So if it was not, would that hinder the progress of this particular project? But your project is contingent on this becoming a rehabilitation district. Correct?
No.
Yeah, I think it is. I bought the building originally to buy it and rent it as warehouse space and not put any money into it.
Okay.
So just to use it for what it is now, put a new roof on it, call it a day. It saved me a heck of a lot of money. So, you know, it wasn't my intent to develop it and spend $1.5 million or whatever I'm going to spend on it and make it something special. It wasn't my plan, but I tried to get warehouse companies. I tried to get manufacturing companies to come to the building. No one would come. I talked to breweries all over Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana. No one would come. So either I sit with the building vacant and wait for a tenant, or I do something about it and make it special and invest a lot of money into, and that's not necessarily what I want to do, but I find it necessary. And I think it has the property, and I think everyone knows the property, it has great potential. But it needs capital to be put into it. It's a jewel. I think it is. So, you know, I'm trying to make it special for the community and bring outside people to come in. And I know a lot of people in Chicago, and they have a lot of money.
My other question, I have one other question. So with this property, so you owned it since, for a while, so you, like you said, you haven't
I
owned
just
it.
bought it, I think, May, or I don't know, June, somewhere
Okay.
before, yeah. So I'm recently purchased it, and, you know, I've been trying since marketing it, and to a lot of Chicago companies too, and I can't get anyone to come. So, so now I'm like, okay, what do I do? And so that's why I'm asking for help. Yeah.
Chairman recognizes, Fourth Ward Commissioner Harrelson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I hear what everybody's saying. You said you would call it a banquet hall, or what would you call it?
Well, Riverview on the park. I don't know. You know, I don't have a name yet. You know, there's so much work to do. I'm just getting it up and running. It's gonna be a multi-purpose building. So it's not just gonna be banquets, because if I did that by itself, I probably wouldn't make any money and I would lose the building and lose all my money. So I think I have to be creative with what I do with it, and, you know, not just banquets, but also maybe whirlpool, might use it for corporate outings. You know, there's a very large area that has 23-foot ceiling heights, which could be fantastic for something. So, you know,
I'm sorry.
okay, so I'm not really sure exactly all the uses yet, but I think it's gonna be a multi-purpose facility that will draw not just people with money, but people from the community. And, you know, maybe it's bingo, maybe, you know, who knows, you know, but people, it's not just gonna be for people with money. So I don't know. But anyway.
How would the setting be? Would it be, you talking about a lot of people, like 500, 5,000?
So I have the architect drawing up numbers, and we have kind of, and I'm willing to share with anyone that wants to see it, if it's okay. But I brought really crude plans that, you know, I can submit to you guys. But it shows like the table layouts, and it shows not only round tables for like weddings, but also longer tables for meetings. So you can see, and I only bought 5, sorry. I didn't know but whoever wants to look at it, I can get copies to anyone else that wants them. But it's very preliminary, but so it could be anywhere from maybe, you know, 50 to maybe 500, 750 people. It's a 6.75 acre site. It's a lot of parking. So we have the capability of having a lot of people there. It's just a question of, you know, I have to look at the numbers. I have to look at the demand, do a study. You know, it's really initial. I can't really do anything until I get the district set up. And once I get the district set up, then the ball can start rolling. And then I can start doing my marketing research and all that stuff and really get going. Yeah, forward,
Okay.
more forward.
Thank you, thank you.
Chairman recognizes Third Ward Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Chair. Now, we didn't we didn't determine what the market value of this property was right now, did we? That's a question to the chair and the city manager, maybe?
Yeah, the city assessor, is going to have the building reassessed.
But this, we're only talking about what is valued now.
The value right now, according to, the county, is $295,000.
295,000. Sitting on the corner. Okay. That means you're gonna get a tax on 295,000. Then you're gonna put in 1.3 or some other kind of millions in it. So that definitely is gonna bring the value up to a lot. Last time we saw this district coming up, I asked the same question of Cornerstone, of us all. We're an entitled community, and we are a very low income community as well. We have a lot of low income people. We have a lot of social problems that go along with poverty. And what happened to the opportunity zone? One thing that we need is money. And if we keep giving these things out and waiting for 10 to 20 and 25 years, we get nothing. But the things that we need right now are right now. And those are the things that are needing cash flow for us to be able to provide more services. So money is what we need. And I ask you, through the chair, why didn't you choose the opportunity zone, which will give you your money back in an increment over years? You don't have to worry about your capital improvement. You don't have to worry about the money for that, because you will get that periodically. So I'm asking her, a Cornerstone, why are you not even looking at the opportunity for the opportunity zone?
Well, we always look at the opportunity zone, because the city of Benton Harbor is included in the opportunity zone, but that requires somebody to invest their capital gains from whatever that may be into the building for the development.
That capital,
The capital gains from a sale, you have to use that particular money to invest in a development.
well, I don't know if my colleagues have really looked at the opportunity zone or not, but I did. And I also talked to someone in Cornerstone to tell me how they got the opportunity zone for Hager Shores. I understand it very well. Maybe not Hager Shores, it's another community. But I'm not, colleagues, I'm not into breaking our bank. Our bank is already hurting. And we're gonna let another developer come into our community and give us minimum amount of money for X amount of years. Now, true enough, but for 10 years and 12 years and 25 years, or to a maximum of 105 years, we've been down that path already. And everybody felt bad about that 105 years. I feel bad about giving them 25 years. And they still come back and fight us. Tribunal, they're the same people that we're giving these credits and tax things to, they come back and fight us later on. So I'm glad that this company is here, this developer is here. I'm not in agreement to give it any 12 years or 10 years out. I think we all should lower the time frame and then go back on condition that they do exactly what they said, and exactly what we need is job creation. But if they're not paying prevailing wage, if they're paying $9, $10 an hour, we already know through our research and all of our studies that it does not allow Benton Harbor resident or anyone to pay rent. It's so important that we pay attention to our own finance and where we are. We cannot afford to keep giving 10 and 20 and 105 years out so we don't get any money for that length of time. I think that we should really consider the opportunity zone. I understand that if you make the investment, that your capital gain, you can gradually pull your money out. The city will get paid full amount of money for the taxes, and over the time period of 25 years, you get all your money back, and we'll have some money in our coffers. So I'm not saying no, but I'm saying we should not give 10 years. And if Cornerstone has looked at the opportunity zone and we haven't, then maybe we should.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry. I actually met with President Trump's Urban Initiative Director, which oversees the Opportunity Zone in Detroit, with a host of mayors, state reps, and community leaders and business people. So the Opportunity Zone, you know, you have to have people that are willing to put their money. But the environment has to be conducive for them to recoup and get their money in return on their investment. Battle Creek currently has activity, which I met with the mayor of Battle Creek just over the weekend. But again, the business environment has to be at a certain setting and climate and culture to where people want to come in and dump millions of dollars. So the opportunity zone is opportunity, but it's contingent upon local government in a major way.
Yeah.
But if developers see where, you know, it's a bunch of pushback and fisticuffs and you know, pulling teeth just to, you know, invest, then that opportunity will turn very bleak and no money will be put into the opportunity zone. But the good thing about Benton Harbor, to your point, Commissioner, Inkster, Highland Park, these other communities, their opportunity zone hasn't even been set. The city of Benton Harbor is ahead. But we have to create the environment where people want to come in and put money.
Okay.
I've given everybody an opportunity. This is my first time that I've spoken tonight. This is your second.
No.
This should be his second. So just be respectful.
No, he's waiting.
I am, but I have a voice as well.
But they're before us.
No, Commissioner.
Educating us on
I have
opportunity
to.
zone is not the time.
The third ward commissioner just said something about the opportunity zone. And if I met with the president's
We should have an
director,
update by now. Before
then
now.
listen, I'm giving you one.
I already know about it.
Commissioner Ison.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I just wanted to bring up with Yarborough Park. Was this some kind of incentive that you're a partner with the city or the park right across the street?
Well, you're gonna take the park.
We're working with, yeah. Park right across the street, doing some updates.
Is that
Yeah, so,
at Riverview, the district itself. Oh, okay.
so I have no plans for the park, other than I think it would be an incredible opportunity for someone to get married there if it can be spruced up
Yeah, that's
in some way.
Mm.
You know, the park is a nice park, don't get me wrong. It is nice. I've sat there, I've looked at boats go by, I enjoy it, right? But if someone's gonna get married there, I don't think they're gonna wanna get married there at the way it is. Okay, so my thought was, maybe there's something we can do as I'm spending so much money on this property. I don't know what's left, but if I could help, make that park something special and so that, it could be used for more things. I think that's great. And one of my thoughts would be to even look at investing in a boat that takes people from the hotels to the park. You can get married at the park and then go across the street for the reception. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing there, so I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to get creative here and bring people to the community and have something nice for the residents that live here. Why not make that park nice for the people that live here? Everyone wins.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Cease. This is the second round.
This is my last one. With all due respect,
Second round.
when they were talking, you didn't interrupt them. You were saying, yeah, go ahead. So when I'm talking to y'all, please give me that same respect. Thank you. I concur with the fact of the investment. I know that the question I had first was, is that the SEV? That's the SEV value, which is half. SEV is usually half, so the amount you quoted was the SEV. So they're saying it's five.
The taxable value.
The taxable value. That's good.
No, the taxable value is
210. Yeah. The taxable value, the taxable value for 2019 is 210,981.
210, okay.
Oh, it's
So
not
it's actually only
295.
taxable value is 210,000 right
You
now.
know what she was saying.
All right, so it's not the 200 and the other number that you gave me.
95.
290, because that's two totally different things. And SEV is usually half of what the real value is of the property. So where's the 295 coming from?
That was on the county site as the assessed.
So actually it'll be half of that now, the 295.
The taxable value is 210. So,
210, sorry.
Okay.
we're not experts on how
Alright.
it comes up with
No
that.
problem.
Oh, no,
The taxable
he's not an
value.
expert.
For the
So,
military is 210.
My next question becomes, was this property purchased from the Wolves? Was the property,
Is the Wolves the
or
all phase?
yeah,
No.
it was another,
It was another, from what I understood, I'm just a buyer, I don't know the history, but from what I understand, the Wolves sold All Phase or the company to someone, and then that person sold to this group who was gonna put a charter school there, and the charter school failed. So then they're stuck with the building, and they don't want the building.
Okay.
So I bought it from them.
my last question is, when was the last time that it was assessed? And who did the assessment? Is there a date on that?
We got this, our city assessment.
Okay, well,
They can answer
then
that.
my question becomes this, lastly. Is it not, practice that after the hearing, then the next meeting, we approve the resolution? That's right?
The exemption. The next meeting you approve
The
the.
next meeting will be the exemption, or will we be requesting?
Wait a minute.
But it's on here already today.
Pardon me?
It's on here today.
On here today is the resolution to approve the district.
District. We're just asking for the district tonight.
So usually after the hearing, a week later, because by law, there's a certain period of time after the hearing that public has their time to put input, or somebody can call in
That's for
public hearings.
for HUD. That's
That's
not.
what we're doing right now.
Yes.
No,
It's a 30-day period for HUD, not for this type of commercial rehabilitation hearing.
with all due respect, we've had public hearing outside of HUD, and we've given the public opportunity.
And it was confusing.
We have given the public opportunity to respond.
Yeah.
Hold on a second, I understand. I love you. this is a public
Hearing,
hearing. This is not a commission hearing.
public,
So the public has an opportunity in public hearings to be heard.
That's right.
So, understood.
So they could have sent it.
So then what happens is, when they're notified, then they can respond in writing.
Yeah.
Or respond by coming to the meeting. That's the normal process, and I have beloved attorneys here to speak on that, but I've never seen this quick a turnaround to where the resolution is right there, right after the public.
Commissioner, all due respect, after if we establish the district, then they go to the state to apply, and then the state responds, and then they come back to us for an entire different, where now we're talking about exemption for whatever amount of years that the council would set. So this is just establishing a district.
But you took the floor from me, man. I know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a public hearing.
But it's a different type of public hearing
what I'm
than
saying,
you have for HUD.
okay, I understand what you're saying.
The city attorney, maybe he tells you your exception. Could you please?
point of order, please.
Where's that,
But if I
where's
have,
that attorney?
whoa.
I didn't come to the citizens.
Do we need to set a time?
No.
Because we just go on and on and on and on in the
Point
name
of
of having
order,
floor.
Chair, point of order.
But as a point of clarity,
Right.
I want to clarify my question
Right.
To who?
before we get a response from the attorney.
And it's directed to me, right?
I posed a question to the chair
Thank you.
to ask the attorney,
And I did that.
but Honorable, you took it and you spent it. I asked a direct question.
Okay.
Does not the public have an opportunity to respond at a public hearing?
And it is right here. Open for public
Point of
comments.
order,
Thank you.
Chair.
Number 4, after open for city commission discussion and questions, is number 4, open for public comment on requests. 3 minutes. So it's right here.
So does not the public have an opportunity to respond in writing to the clerk's office on a public hearing?
It should have
Could
been.
you, Mr. Attorney, could you please?
When this
Wait.
was
Today,
Your Honor, I have in my possession the notice of public hearing that was issued by your clerk. That notice of public hearing was, bears a date of December the 23rd, 2019. So what is anticipated, I believe, is that any public comments that want to be made can be made to the clerk's office or can be made here after tonight. But tonight is the time of the public hearing, and there is no period after tonight
Were they
for the
asked?
conduction of this public hearing on this particular aspect.
Were they asked?
Was any responses given to the clerk's office?
Was it within the
No.
notice?
we told them we don't buy no news.
Was it within the notice? This was sent out.
Is the clerk,
No response.
no responses? And the public does have an opportunity tonight,
Yes.
after we do our discussion and questions and comments and et cetera, but the public can respond as well.
Oh, okay.
A public notice was also put in the paper.
But was it noted to the chair for the public to respond via email or with the clerk? In order to get a response, to have that answer here tonight.
Yes, it was.
It was if it was within a document, then we should be moving forward.
All of the necessary requirements legally, the city manager would not have brought this at this time if it was not. The chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton, and then Commissioner Edwards had patiently waited, and then it'll be his first time on this issue.
Quick one. How long do you anticipate the rehab to take for the reconstruction to take?
Well, that's a good question. So a lot of the behind the scenes work has already started. The capital investment that made thousands and thousands of dollars already for the architect. They want their money up front a lot of times. So I paid for the architect. The architects had structural engineers out to the building. They've had lots of their different aspects of, you know, the planning for the facility. So that's in works. I demoed a lot of water damaged offices, spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on doing that and getting it ready for starting the improvement process. But I can't do any improvement, from what I'm told, until the district is formed. And then at that point, and with the approval of the district, then I can start getting things in order. I'm gonna spend over $100,000 just for HVAC, just for heating and cooling. You know, and windows, and it goes on decking, and, you know,
So,
kitchens, and, yes, I'm sorry.
so, if everything's, approved.
Getting back to your question.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, you know, and it's seasonal. Weddings, a lot of weddings happen in the summer. So I think what's gonna happen is, I've already missed the wave for this summer. Most of wedding coordinators and things like that they're already booked for the summer. So I'm thinking it's gotta be done if I wanna make any money next summer, not this summer, but the next summer. So it's gotta be done by then.
So,
Right, and then I've got to sell it to these people. So a lot of these people, the wedding coordinators, the brides, the grooms, everyone like that, they want to see it. So I've got to get it done, ready for them to see, so that they're going to book it through me. So it might be next winter, this fall, maybe, you know, because it has to be.
so the clock on the abatement will start once
I think it's next year, right? Isn't it?
Yeah,
Once it's approved and the clock starts.
once it's approved, then the abatement will start for 2021.
You'll actually, if you take you another year to get going, so you'll only actually enjoy probably about 9 years or eight and a half years of,
And, you know, the good thing about investing money in a building is, you know, instead of the building being worth down here, it's worth up here, which means more money for the town, right?
No,
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
10 years later.
No,
But,
so-
and this is where it's not a tax break where they pay no taxes. That has already been established. It's 50%, but the other part is the income tax,
Okay.
where people are now paying more in income tax than they're paying in property tax. So the other side of it is, the more people we get in paying income tax, the lesser the burden is on residents, and maybe like Lapeer, we can lower meals.
Okay.
Because now we're getting more revenue from another stream.
There you go.
So, I mean, we just, but as it sits right now, we get nothing. But whatever the tax is on an empty building that's deteriorating as we debate. Commissioner Edwards.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. I have a statement and not even a question, well, a question too. I'm a negotiator. So you want 10 years abatement. We'll say it'll take you 6 months to 8 months to complete the project. So you got the district permit in your hand. It'll take you 6 to 8 months to finish it.
I'm guessing.
It doesn't go
One
into
says
effect.
no, one says yes.
Well, it doesn't go into effect till 2021.
Okay, so January 21.
Correct.
There's a possibility you can be done by October.
This year.
No,
You're talking
next
about
year.
the improvements?
Yeah, and you said that it'll start in 2021. So by 2021 of October, will you be done? Possibility.
Could you please direct to the chair?
Yeah.
To the chair.
Yes, sir.
My question is, it starts in January 2021, but it's hypothetical, right?
No.
Well, nothing can start if we don't approve the district.
Okay, follow me for a minute, through the chair. I give you, you got the, whatever we looking for, right? District. Then you can start work. After all the other process, the voting, the resolution, all that, we say, yeah, you can start building, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, from that point, the project will take you how long to complete? So if you started in January, I'm just saying, you finish by October? Will it be done by, this estimate, by October?
I think I can start a lot sooner, as soon as the district is.
Correct. So my thing is, it'll take you about 6 to 8 months to finish the
Yeah,
project,
so,
not the paperwork.
right, I'm hoping the fall of this year.
Okay, so here's my thing. So you want a 10-year abatement. What if we abated you that until you finish it? And then we ease the tax up to where it's supposed to be, as opposed to just giving you 10 years right off the bat. Is that a problem? And you end up with the same thing? Through the chair. Is that a problem?
Well, this is the other thing. So,
Would you, point of order, Chair.
point of order,
Yes, point of order, Chair.
he's speaking to the chair. I'm gonna allow for them to answer.
But you always
But
have your spin on it.
No. One thing that you must respect, I'm not here because you put me in. I'm here because the people.
You are breaking your own rules.
The people put me in this seat as the chair and as the mayor. And I'm going to perform my duty, not over a ward, over the city. So, Mr. Commissioner Edwards, to your point, the state of Michigan has put in place laws for commercial rehabilitation districts to protect the city, to protect the developer, to protect the state. So we can't, if they're applying for a commercial rehabilitation district, like with the city income tax, we can't add to, take from, and make it our own thing. We can't do that. So, maybe if the developer, then maybe they won't be in, then we can respect what they're saying. Please.
I would just add, Mayor, Mr. Commissioner, I appreciate that you're a negotiator, but the mayor is correct. There's really no negotiating. We have no ability to change tax law in the state of Michigan. So you guys will have to decide ultimately how many years you want to grant, if you want to go that route. That's really the only negotiation. We have no ability to change tax law or ask for different rates. I mean, it is set in Michigan law through the chair.
Through the chair. So here's my question about that. I'm not trying to change the tax law. Because if you come here and say, I need 10 years, is that a state law?
That's
a state law that we gotta get them 10 years?
No. You talking to me, right?
Whoever want to answer it.
No, that ain't how it works. Okay.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Is it a law that when they come in, we have to get them 10?
That's why first they apply for the district. And then after if we grant a commercial district, then they come back and ask for an exemption up to whatever the city will agree to, if they agree. And two things can happen. If the city says, okay, we'll agree to 2 years or 3 years. And if that's not enough for a developer, whomever it is, then they can say, okay, well, I'll take my investment somewhere else. So it's just based upon agreement. But as I stated, as it stands, we're dealing with a building that's deteriorating every second as we sit here and debate. Yes.
It's a very good point. I'm a commissioner with the city of Chicago, and
My home, well,
it's a great place. But I have fiduciary responsibilities to the taxpayers. Okay, and I oversee hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
My committee. So I understand your point, and it's a point well taken. The problem I see here is if I don't get what I think is needed, then I will not make the investment, okay, which is okay, right? And I'll keep it as a warehouse. And I'll try to do my best to rent it out for a low number. The value of the property, because I'm getting low rent, will be low. And you guys won't receive an increase in taxes over the future. And I won't bring people from Chicago, people from Indy, and people from all over to come here as a destination place. And you'll lose that. And so, I mean, I'm a team player here. I have an affinity to Benton Harbor. I take buildings that are non-functioning all over. I have a lot of properties. And I make these buildings that are deteriorating and nothing. And I add values. My taxes have tripled in my buildings. And now the government's benefiting from my taxes, right? So it's in everyone's interest, to work together.
I'll be done. That was, through the chair, that was my point. My point wasn't not trying to harness, change the laws. It's a point of giving us another option outside of 10 years.
Right.
I understand Chicago. I was there 40 years. So I understand the ordinance and all that stuff. But my option to the people is, and case in point, the mayor. I had 115 people appointed me to this chair. They asked me questions. To some of us, those questions are very dumb, but my grandmother says the dumbest question is the one you didn't ask.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to deter you from, and I'm glad you are. I really am, especially when you said Jack Campbell. I know youth are involved in. But I was just trying to find another option because I've been back here 6 years and everybody that comes in here wants 10 years. So I'm thinking, is that a law? Or is that something that can be negotiated? Instead of giving you 10 years at one price, right? Why we can't do it that way? That's not changing the law. That's just changing how you paying me. You want 10 years.
Commissioner Adams. Please direct it to the chair.
Okay,
please.
If everybody coming in here 10 years, everybody that I know of wants 10 years. Why we can't take it down 5 and then revisit it and then give them the other 5?
You putting the cart before the horse. We haven't even established a district to even talk about any years.
Well, they the one brought in the 10 years.
No, they didn't bring. They're here to establish, have a district approved, not talk about how many years.
I'm sorry for misunderstanding you, but I wrote down what they said, 10 years, but I'm done with it. If you didn't say 10 years, then I better clean out my ears because I wrote down what I heard. I'm done.
So this is in the first ward?
No, I'm the second ward, but I'm done. Oh, it's in the first ward.
No, this is in the first, yes, first.
So Commissioner Henderson will be taking the point on that particular, given that it's her ward. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm gonna ask the city manager through the chair, who wrote this resolution? Where did it come from? It's not our standard, and I'd like to know where it came from. And after that comment, I'll make a comment about, usually developers get a feasibility or a market study
of how successful their business can be and will be. And they decide on what to do from that study. And something I heard them say a long time ago was, if you build it, they will come. No matter what it is, they will come. And so I know that there was a study, and I know that this is going to be a great opportunity for any developer to make it, because that's what your study has provided you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have put your initial money in it. And I believe that if you build it, they will come. And I also would like to have my question answered as to where this resolution came from.
Mr. Manager.
Would you tell them where the resolution?
I can tell you where it came from, Cornerstone Alliance. We take a sample from the state based on the commercial resolution to establish a commercial rehabilitation district, and it's their sample resolution.
From the state of Michigan.
From the state of Michigan.
Thank you. And I want my colleagues to hear that that's not normal, but it does happen here.
It is normal.
Economic Development Department.
It is
Now,
normal.
Chair, you're being disrespectful again because I have the floor, and you just cannot chime in anytime you want to. And if you do, I think I'll have an appeal on you. I shall start an appeal if you keep being inconsiderate. Yes, the people voted on you, but they voted on all the rest of us 8 too. You're no different than us, except you have the responsibility to sign papers. So I would appreciate you not disrespect us again. When I have the floor, you give it to me, and when I release it, you give it to somebody else. But you will not disrespect me and bully me.
Are you finished?
No. Although you know that you can disrupt my thoughts, but I'm coming right back to this issue. They wrote the resolution. They know all about this. They know all about the opportunity zone. They know everything. And they have not proven to be our friends. Thank you.
So again, if you look at the template, this is a template that the state of Michigan, again, this is establishing a commercial district is a state law. It's not a local law. Just like the city income tax is a state law. It's approved locally. But just as the state income tax, the city income tax from the state, you cannot change that. You cannot alter that. You cannot make it for Benton Harbor. It's a state mandated law that's approved locally. That resolution, I got it from the state.
You got it?
Yes.
She just said she wrote it.
You're not listening. I said the income tax ordinance was taken from the state, just as this commercial, establishing a commercial rehabilitation district was taken from the state, given to the city for the commission to approve. They can't make this up. You can't make this up. This has to be according to state law. So who better to bring it than the people that's asking for it? Cornerstone Alliance is asking the city of Benton Harbor to approve a commercial rehabilitation district, and the resolution came from the state template given to us for approval. That's what's in front of us tonight. How many years, exemptions and all that, that comes if this is approved. So the last comment is gonna be with Commissioner Adams, and then we're gonna open up for the public.
Why, thank you, but if we're debating and we have to vote on something, another commissioner may just have another question. Thank you. And my question becomes, do we have to look forward to seeing you at our brownfield as well? That's a question through the chair. I pray not.
Who's that question to?
Anybody that want to answer it, as long as it go through this chair.
There will not be a brownfield.
Okay, thank you. And I want to remind my colleagues of a time way before now and way before the income tax, and trying to find ways to create and generate some tax base to rebuild something, because there was nothing. We were falling, and we took a hard fall, and I welcome growth. But I found something, and it started all this advertising about reignite or jumpstart New York. I'm like, that's what we need to do. We need to jumpstart Ben Harbor. But what it consisted of was a whole lot of tax breaks. But that's okay, because the streets are falling in. We tearing up our cars on potholes and stuff. We got to do something to create some jobs. We got to get some people in here to create something. Because before long, it'll be wind tunnels in the street again. Because that's what I saw when I came back home in '98. Down here in the Arts District. That's beautiful right now. As we try to build up more entrepreneurs, I appreciate you for hiring locals. And it's my greatest prayer is that we are inviting people in that not only want to do business and create something in Ben Harbor that sustainable for themselves, but getting to know the people of this community. And I say that to say I thank you, and we need to keep in mind that prevailing wages only comes with federal money. Because if that was the case, McDonald's and Burger King would be paying prevailing wages. Do anybody know what prevailing wages are? How much it is? Look it up. They would be okay with serving their burgers and fries. Thank you. And I guess as long as we're seeing it, God bless them. If there's no other commissioner that has anything else.
So I'd like to open up for public comment.
Let me get up there for just a second. Here you go, thank you.
You all are. Your part is finished.
We're done.
Yes.
I've never been in disagreement with change. Make no mistake about it. When we talk about change, because the greatest thing you can have is an understanding. And when you're making decisions that's based on moving the city forward, the first thing you need is an attorney that can answer any and every question. And it has to be progressive. That's just facts. When you talk about development, if you had your own economic development department and you had qualified people that understood these issues that we're dealing with, we wouldn't have as much confusion. If there's a lot of content, it becomes a con. It's been going on for years. Just like that young man said, every time people come through here, they want a tax break from the city of Benton Harbor. 2017, we took our city back, but we didn't put mechanisms in place to move us forward into the 21st century. It's just facts. So if we continue to do the same thing, looking for a different result, it's called insanity. I mean, make no mistake about it. If you don't understand the key in the language, when people give you paperwork, at the end, you will always fall short. The same particular period, we talk about Cornerstone Alliance, that is to align around you. They've been here for a long time. Nothing's happened with the inner city. They've never had a plan. They have a plan for the waterfront. Yes, they have a 10-year plan. When you talk about 10 years, this next 8 years in the city of Ben Harbor will be crucial to who will own this city. So each and every decision that you make, if there is not any equity is a thing that is done through racial equity officers that has the best interests of the city at heart.
I've never been in disagreement with change, even when they came with the golf course. Change, talked about how many jobs we was gonna really get. No jobs. Now they got you in the tax tribunal. Anytime it's talking about put some money in the coffers of the city of Benton, they talking about giving up a tax break. Come on, man, that property. Joe Dick told him when they sold that property, he worked for Fifth Third. When they gave that beach away, they leased it. He said it's $1 million property. But didn't nobody pay attention? Now we back here with the same issues. They're talking about sustainability. Sustainability for who? We got to keep it real when we talk about sustainability. If they was to leave right now, it wouldn't hurt the inner city. It wouldn't do nothing. That's my whole point. You talk about bringing in tax dollars. And I've never been in disagreement. But when is there going to be some kind of plan that you all have to execute? Even with our property, we have property that can be executed in the city of Benton Harbor that we can do something with. You got a plan, but where's the plan for the inner city of Benton Harbor? You have a lot of people that want to bring money into this city. Make no mistake about it. But you have to go out and get individuals that want to invest in this city. But you have to deal with racial equity, because equity right now is not, it's not spread equally.
Thank you, Mr. Haywood, for your comments.
I was just waiting to see if somebody else was gonna say something. Boy, we is real fast get rid of the citizens. Matter of fact, this whole program was set up. You can't hear me? Stay out of my business then.
This meeting is being recorded.
I don't mind that. I'm glad it is. Because the citizens get a chance to hear all of this is happening. Where did you guys reach out through the chair? Where did you guys reach out for all the citizens to hear about all of this stuff through the chair? Now I got more questions because I don't want you to interrupt me either.
I answered in my comments.
Oh, well, maybe I can get the city manager through the chair.
This is for public comment for the public hearing, not Q&A with the mayor or the city manager.
I'm not trying to have no debate with either one of y'all. But if you want to argue, you can turn around and argue at the wall, because I'm not trying to argue with you, Mayor.
I'm just telling you the
I'm trying to get an
parameters.
understanding, why would you do this and not ask the citizens or get the citizens totally involved in it? You put it in the newspaper. I told you when they came the first time, most of us don't even buy no newspaper. But you hear, and the river is the only spot that we have it's Mickey Yarbrough Park. It's a park, and I told you guys from the start, it's not even a water fountain in it, not a bathroom. Fleas, ticks, everything out in the field. I tried to get you guys to understand that before any of this come across. And you act like you didn't hear me because I was just ignorant citizen. You loud talked me then. I asked those questions, I got no answers. I asked all of you, we talked about it. And nobody had an answer. It came, okay. Thank you for not interrupting me. I can get this thought across too. If there's no bathrooms, and I love Mr. Yarbrough, I've been begging for a water fountain down on that river for years. I'm talking about more than 10 years. Why you smiling? And we don't have it yet. I asked for buoys. You couldn't do that neither. Mr. Mayor, that was on you. We could have some buoys, keep our fishing, because our people fish, and we have nowhere else to go to actually fish close to home. You did nothing then, but you want to holler at somebody? You want to smile at somebody? You want to crack jokes every time Whirlpool come in? Why don't Whirlpool give them some tax breaks? Why don't they sell it to Whirlpool? Whirlpool and bought everything else.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan.
Are you finished with me?
Your time is up.
Well, if you didn't hear me, I hope the citizens heard me, because there go our river, there go our fishing for real.
Thank you, Mr.
Because
Duncan.
they wouldn't let us fish in peace in the first place.
Your
I
time is
hope
up,
the
sir.
citizens hear it, because,
It's on YouTube.
well, I'm glad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mamie Yarbrough. I live at 228 Territorial Road, Benton Harbor, Michigan. This is my home. This is where I was born. People say, why you live in that neighborhood? That is my neighborhood. I grew up, I walked those streets all my days, Territorial, 2nd, 5th. I know every street and what was there and what is there now. And I want to say, I think about it, there's so many things. I'm on a county commission, and I meant to do it maybe one term. I'm in my 15th year. I have learned so much. And you all have got to read and study and know what you're talking about. It's all there. And what I want to let you know is that, and the person that's purchasing it, you must confine some pictures, that all face property was the dream and the most beautiful thing you could ever see. Now, they did this on purpose. We have events on the river and they turned the water on so we didn't walk on the grass. Y'all know that? Because it was like, it looked like velvet.
Yeah.
And it was well kept. And I'm praying to see that corner back taken care of. And that the roundabout, we talk about a roundabout. I have friends who will come to Ben Harbor because they don't know what to do. And roundabout's been there 50 years. It is. So there are things the city needs to do. There are things that there's nothing you can do alone. He can't do it alone. Cornerstone cannot do it alone. And you, the city, cannot do it alone. I've been involved in so many things. At first it was somebody's thought, then it was on paper, then it was a model. And now it is. That we got lookouts and rivers and all kinds of things. The Pawpaw River is going to be connected from Benton Harbor, where it starts, all the way to Kalamazoo. Because Hager Shores, Coloma, Watervliet work with their city chamber of commerce or Cornerstone Alliance or whatever it was. And in New Buffalo, it was New Buffalo, the city of, the township of, the Pokagons, and Berrien County. And they have put in some things and the money has come to them. State of Michigan not gonna just give you some money, but you gotta have some reason and some infrastructure and somebody with a thought to do it. And you need to stop fighting each other, and you need to stop fighting people that are coming here to put $1.5 million into the city by simply signing a piece of paper. Some things you do, you have to match it, or you have to put so much in it. I didn't hear any of that. And I love Benton Harbor, and I'm having a time. I've been having a time not saying anything. I don't care nothing about YouTube, Facebook. I don't even know how to work all that stuff. But this is what is the truth. And you need to work with people and make them welcome. And I'm going to tell you, I see out of my window, I live in a corner, and there are people that come to Benton Harbor in trolleys, whole wedding parties. They get off the trolley. No, I'm not through. Look, they get out of the trolley and they're leaning against the brick walls and against the falling down buildings. Little babies, grandmas, you can tell who the mother of the bride, and they're taking pictures. Or even sometimes whole families, it's not a wedding, whole families with babies in them, they're leaning and taking pictures in the city of Benton Harbor. The inner city, when we do the streets and the lights and things, they say, how come they didn't do it in the neighborhood? It's your block. It's for you to do. It's for you to decorate. We decorated our bushes and trees and different things. Some things you gotta do. And what you gotta do even more than that is to work with the people that wanna come here and do something in the city of Benton Harbor. And when you talk about the park, and when you talk about people out there afraid, they're not afraid to come here. I'm telling you, they come just to take pictures and lean against the building. So they're not afraid, they will come. And the park over there is so much can be done with it, and it was built well. The pieces of wood and they replaced some things. And Avonmarsh is the one that works with that park. When we did a Obama cleanup and stuff, that's their park. And they have a department there, and a lady that's a landscape architect. She'll do nothing but grounds and make things beautiful. So there are so many things here that you can use and avail ourselves of. And I'm looking forward to our city doing this because I support and I come and I'll go. I don't fish, I don't have a boat, but I sit on the water at Charles L. Yarbrough Park. And I thank you all for doing that. And I'm looking forward to coming to your building. Thank you.
Thank you. The Public hearing is officially closed. This brings us to
I have one
our,
more statement.
the hearing is closed,
This is a
sir.
public hearing,
It's
though.
closed.
We
It's
couldn't-
closed.
We couldn't know about it from the beginning.
It's
and we
closed.
finished knowing about
It's
something?
closed. This brings us to our consent calendar items. Are there any items that should be separated for discussion?
Resolution. With our district.
There's no resolution here for the Arts District.
I mean, I didn't say ours, I said from the district. The words probably ran together for the,
Citizen dismissed.
for the rehabilitation district.
Okay, any others should be separated. Mayor Pro Tem seats.
B and Z, water meters.
Duly noted, clerk.
I would like to see the adoption of the resolution approving the establishment of a rehab.
That has already been separated.
Oh, thank you.
That brings us to the first consent calendar item. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Adams, supported by Commissioner Henderson, and that item is adopt a resolution approving the 114th Blossom Time Parade. Is there a discussion? No, there's no discussion. Consent. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Commissioner Edwards.
Clarity, point of clarity. The mayor, all respect, the mayor just said, this is for the rehabilitation district, right?
No, this is the consent calendar item, adopt a resolution approving the 114th Blossom Time Parade.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to the first separated item, adopt a resolution approving the establishment of a commercial rehabilitation district at 825 Riverview Drive, Benton Harbor, Michigan. There is a motion made by Commissioner Adams and it is supported by Commissioner Henderson. Is there discussion? Chairman recognizes Commissioner at Large Adams.
I just want it to be noted that I do intend to support this up on knowing if we can make a slight amendment. I know this happened with a property that the corporation the world-class building sits on now, that if this property is not utilized for the purpose intended, that everything that is reverts back. Within that period of time, if it's not utilized for the purpose intended, that everything is null and void. I mean, if it folds and it doesn't, I mean, because I'm praying for its success. Yeah. But I think that if it's not utilized for the purpose intended, it should revert back to its originality. That's all. We're given something, we should be getting something. I mean, if that's what if that's what's needed for us, our approval for this to take place, then the gentleman has explained to us exactly what his plan is. If that plan does not pan out, it should revert back to its originality.
Which is nothing.
There you go.
Okay.
That's not true.
I know.
Chairman recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Peace.
Thank you for your leadership, Commissioner Yarbrough, explaining how that building used to look. You can tell by the light fixtures and everything else in that building that it used to be something special. I really at wit's end because I'm so confused now by just listening to a lot of this stuff. I just ask that we moving forward. If we do grant this, and this young man decides to sell it, which I don't have a problem with, this will go with the property, I believe, this exemption, so whoever buys it will have the same opportunity as this young man to develop. So I don't see any hang up in that. Hopefully, again, this will become Jewel and hiring locals and all this other stuff. I do concur with all my other constituents, and that's just a gentleman factor, that after we do these types of things, it's like spitting in somebody's face to go to the tax tribunal and to go to Brownfield and try to get tax breaks after we've already given tax breaks. And that's happened multiple times. Looking at the pay list right now, we're paying thousands of dollars, $20,000 just on tax tribunal cases. Just for legal fees, not the amount that we had to pay back. So I'll just ask that if we do this, just have some type of gentleman or gentle lady agreement that, in 5 to 10 years, we won't end up at the tax tribunal after the taxes come to be due. And I do also understand the fact that we are the highest mills in the area, so anybody would want a tax break. I want a tax break, but it seems like we can't get it. So thank you. Welcome to Ben Harbor.
Thanks.
And hopefully you don't stop there. Just keep on going down the street. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Are there any other comments as it relates to this particular item? Chairman recognizes Commissioner Harrelson.
Well, I'm in agreement with what's been said, with our other two commissioners. I would love to see something beautiful down there, but unlike they say, if it's not gonna be used for what they say, then we should refer it back.
Thank you, Commissioner Harrelson. I'm excited. I do know that nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So it's very important, in order to make money, you got to spend money. So it's always a give and take when you start talking about, as Commissioner Edwards said, negotiations, development. The 4-letter word, big word in business is risk. So there's always those elements. But as I've tracked and watched, I've traveled to over 100 cities in the last 10 years. And the development that I've seen in DC, in Miami, in Austin, Texas, and Mexico, all over. You have, as a team of government officials, developers, investors, economic development organizations working together to build, certain areas. And my observation of economic development, there's a commercial where the bride is standing and the gentleman standing next to her, who was the presumed groom, is just standing. And somebody came and pushed him out of the way and said, "I do," and took the bride. So that's how economic development is. What we won't do or what cities won't do, others are open to do it. And we have a fiduciary responsibility to bring revenue, to build a city, to bring attraction. And this is just one small, corner. But we have 4.4 square miles to redevelop. And this is just one part of it. So I can support this commercial district, and hopefully we can come back, if approved by this body, to discuss what that would look like. Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, you got to, it would have been something different if we wasn't getting anything, you know. Right now, it's a building that's sitting there and it's taxable value $210,000. Nothing happens. It's going to go down to eventually to nothing or whatever. It's like it's almost like it's an investment, you know, on our part also. That if this work out, and after whatever we agree on in a number of years, then you go back to the whatever the value is then. So it's an investment, and it takes a little time for investment to mature and reap the benefits from it. So ain't like you're losing nothing right now because you're getting taxes off of it. It's a little different if you say, hey, zero taxes, then that to the way, you know, that won't work. So we'll see what happens.
Chair recognizes the First Ward Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just real quick, thank you for coming to the city and with this particular project. Like you said, I do live in Ward 1, and that particular corridor, which that building sits, has been something that I would love to have seen and see developed, especially along that corridor going up to the inner city. But I'm also not deceived. I do understand that as a business, you're getting into that business to make money and to recoup some of the money that you spent, whether that'll happen over a course of a year or 10 years or however that looks. I know that you're getting in that business to recoup the money and to make that asset work for you. So I do understand that. However, in this community, I think there's been a lot of just mistrust and things that have happened that causes many in our community to mistrust or not trust people and organizations that come and ask for things from the city. I understand all of that. By the same token, there are things, as the commissioner talked about, there has to be a give and take. We have to work with organizations. We talk about building up our community and building up our city. This is one way to do that. And again, kudos, because I've never seen somebody have to work so hard to spend their money and to convince people to bring something into the community that'll help to beautify it. I understand both sides of that. So thank you for bringing that business here and thinking about this community and doing so. It is a gold mine, city, the location, the people that come in from all over. And again, I'm not deceived about who those people will be. At the end of the day, you're a business here to make money, but how it will work for the city is developing partnerships and doing, certain little things. I don't expect that to happen right away, but eventually that'll hopefully be a part of the plan, and part of my job will make sure that that'll be part of the plan. So I'm not deceived by any of that. We'll figure out how that will work towards the benefit of the residents of the city of Benton Harbor. And we just have to figure out, as a community, we say we want businesses to come in, how we're gonna be or work with businesses. And what I found out, you don't get what you don't ask for. And so there's a way also to ask for the things that you want. And again, most businesses, they want to succeed. And so they want to be good partners in our community. I understand some of the things that have happened in the past, but you don't have some of those same people here that don't understand and who are looking for something for nothing. It has to be a give and take. And I think many of us understand that. And we'll be working diligently to make sure that that happens. So again, thank you for that investment.
Chair recognizes the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioners and people in the audience. I've been just sitting back observing, and I'll tell you what, I hope we learn from this and make it a little easier for people to do business with us. But understand what that means. The things that have been said here are real. People don't trust. Rob, we had that discussion the first time we met. But you should also know that he made me a promise and he kept it. And that is anything that's going to be done in Benton Harbor is going to be done with somebody in Benton Harbor. We do have an economic development department and a director. And that director has been involved heavily with Cornerstone. Anybody else doing business in Benton Harbor has to deal with a staff member in this city. Tracy is the director.
Economic development or community development?
Community and economic development.
You're the chair.
See?
This is the city manager has the floor.
So we've got to think about what we're doing, where we want to go. That's the reason we really need to sit down together and put together, as they said, a plan of what you want and make that plan be known. This is a new Benton Harbor. You have an administration that is listening and is going to do things to make sure that you don't have the failures of the past.
All right.
You're talking about 10 years. If we don't don't give people breaks, as the mayor said, they can take their money someplace else. But that's not the only reason. I want you to think about what you're saying when you say a 10-year investment. There have been investments back down the past, and somewhere along the line, they're gonna start turning into full benefits to the city. You have to think about that. But you don't have to just think about it. We have to make sure that it happens. We have to make sure. We can't just give somebody something and then walk away. We are in this together. So what do we want to do?
All for the question.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
That brings us to the
Now you
next
can go home.
resolution on the separated calendar. I wish we could conduct government business as a government. Adopt a resolution approving the authorization of city manager to execute a contract with V&Z Company for installation of water meters within the city. Is there a motion is made by Commissioner Henderson, supported by Commissioner Henry. Is there discussion? Chairman
No, I
recognizes Mayor
didn't
Pro Tem
support it,
Seats.
Chair.
Thank
It
you.
wasn't me, Chair.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. My question is to the city manager concerning the water meters. Was B&Z the only contractor, or did this go out to bid? Did we receive several bids from per the charter? Or is this something that is a gentleman agreement that we will just utilize them?
Mr. I want you to finish. I don't want to end.
Oh, okay, I apologize. Just wanted to make sure that we did get more than one bid on the installation of the water meters, and that was put out, advertised for the said purpose. And if not, then if we did, then where's the bids? If not, then why did not we go that way? Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Okay, I'm gonna let the manager, but I probably should read the resolution because it does state in here, whereas the city of Benton Harbor publicly received bids on December 5th, 2019 for installation of water meters. 2 bids were received and the low bid was received from B&Z Company in the amount of $76,120. Above that, it says, whereas the city of Benton Harbor was issued a financially distressed cities, villages, and townships grant in 2018 to fund the purchase and installation of new water meters in the amount of $309,500. Mr. Manager.
Mary, you said it all, but we're gonna call up our city engineer to give the process so it's clear and not misunderstood. And by the way, we don't do gentleman handshakes with anybody.
Thank you. I'm Tim Drews with Abbott Marsh Consultants. Yes, we did, and good evening to everybody. Yes, we did open publicly 2 bids. One from B&Z was the low bid at $76,120. The other bid was received from Ace Plumbing for $149,350. It's almost twice what B&Z bid. B&Z also was the contractor that replaced 2,200 meters with the SAW grant program. So they know the program, they know the city system, and they're experienced at what they've done in the previous contract.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Just for clarity, or those that weren't at the meeting, these are grant dollars that we're talking about through the chair.
That's what I just read.
And I was at the committee meeting, so I'm very aware. This is the time where prevailing wages matter. And I think we also had the discussion that we would try to utilize as much of this money as we possibly could by hiring some locals to do something that you would talk with B&Z and take care of all that. Just for our own understanding that we're actually working together to make sure that we don't send any of this money back.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to move forward, I know it's getting late, so we're getting a little bit, a lot of charisma tonight. When you're found that you replaced the line, is B&Z told by anybody that the lead lines that are out there that are connected to these meters will be replaced then when it's found out, because that's part of state law now, that when they find a lead line, that we're to be notified and immediately we're to come out and place that lead line before we connect it to a new meter through the chair?
The answer is absolutely yes. It is law now, and if we do find lead lines, they will be replaced.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
We did talk about it in committee, and one thing that came out and very loudly was that the contract has to read that they hire Benton Harbor residents. That's what our resolution has said that we did in previous years, and I would like to make sure that that language was put into the document and into the contract, and that it was verified through our staff, whoever that person is. They can verify that it's Benton Harbor resident, not 49022, but Benton Harbor residents. And it's got to be in the contract. Otherwise, I'm not going to vote for it.
Thank you.
Because it's very important that we provide jobs for our people, no matter if they're temporary jobs or short-term jobs, but and they need to be prevailing wages. We just cannot keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and over for our people, because
This is not about prevailing wages.
You're interrupting me again, please, sir.
You need to stay on task.
I am on task. I'm exactly on task. This is a contract that's been bidded for the city, for the come out of the general fund, the money that the citizens pay.
This is grant dollars.
Same difference.
No, it's not.
that means we do have to have a contract. And that contract should say the grant, whatever money comes in, whatever project that is being done in the city of Benton Harbor, may it be grant money, whatever kind of money it is, it should be jobs attached to it and in the contract.
Do you know what type of grant this is?
I'm finished with the conversation, Chair. Thank you for interrupting me.
Chairman recognizes Commissioner Lars Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. This did come through the Public Safety Committee, and a lot of the questions that was asked tonight was actually that committee discussed. They did about the lead, identifying those problem lead lines that they could address that right then. So just to reiterate that.
I'm very pleased. Thank you, Commissioner Singleton. This coming through the committee, Mayor Pro Tem, for bringing out. That's a very critical point to be, lifted. That lead lines that are attached to these meters will be addressed with this grant. So I mean, this is something that I think we need to be jumping at to get approved for our residents who may have lead lines that need this project going right away.
Call for the
Support. Commissioner Henry.
Did I get a confirmation that the job component was going to be in the contract?
This is for vote.
That's federal section.
I'm not, you're in the conversation too again.
I'm sorry.
I asked the question, do I have a confirmation through the chair from our city manager that
The question has been called for debate and discussion is over.
I'm trying to get clarification, Chair.
I'm giving you clarification.
No, you're not. You're changing the subject. I'm asking through the
Keeping you
chair.
on subject.
I'm asking through the chair if that provision is going to be in the contract.
That provision cannot be in this contract.
I'm not asking you.
It's not in there. I'm telling you.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking the city manager.
I'm telling you. It's
You don't
not
have
in
to
there.
tell me anything.
You cannot put it in there, and it's not in
Well, I'm asking the city manager because I really don't trust your opinion, Chair. I'm asking the city manager.
It's yes or no, Commissioner. That's what's in front of us. Yay or nay.
I make an appeal for the chair's opinion.
I am the chair.
I'm making an appeal on your ruling.
Is there a second? There is no second. Yay or nay?
Nay.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to the conclusion of the agenda items, and for staff comments, Chair recognizes our Deputy Director of Public Safety, Deputy Clark.
Good evening. Our fire marshal had to leave. His day was done. Just wanted to let everyone know, Fire Marshal Bruce, as we've been getting him training and education, he was recognized by LMC. They took his training and education, turned it into an associate's degree. So that was something positive for him. Also, too, to help out the officers when they're moving around the park and in the city on our bikes, the PGA actually donated 2 electric motors to the total of $3,000 to the Public Safety Department to motorize the bikes. It may seem crazy, but last year we were averaging about 10 to 15 miles a day on the course. And if you haven't biked that much in one day, it can be a little strenuous. The other thing, we did submit an application. It's in process right now for this year's FDCVT grant to replace our aging SCBA system and air compressor, which is the tanks of air that we use to breathe while firefighting. So that should be, hopefully we'll hear some good news back on that shortly.
Chair recognizes our city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No comment this evening.
Chair recognizes our Community and Economic Development Director, Mrs. Tracy Jennings.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, public. The Community and Economic Development Department for the City of Benton Harbor has been rather busy this month, and we'll give a comprehensive recap of that during the Planning and Economic Development meeting, which is scheduled for tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. in City Commission chambers. But there are a couple of things to note. On Friday, Commissioners Henderson, Harrelson, City Manager Mitchell, Tracy McIntosh, Program Coordinator for the department, and myself did get a chance to travel to both Wayne, Michigan and Dearborn Heights to tour the Hype Athletics facilities. This tour was given by Ali Syed, who is the CEO of Hype Athletics, in anticipation of a proposed partnership between the City of Benton Harbor and Hype Athletics to bring recreational activities and programming to the citizens, the youth, the residents of the City of Benton Harbor. A formal proposal will be drafted by Hype Athletics. What's unique about this partnership is that in the City of Wayne, Michigan, this nonprofit entity has taken over Park and Rec programming for the city and provides it to the city through means of partnership. We are looking at this as a potential means of partnership for parks and recreational programming in the city. So a proposal is forthcoming. Additionally, as Commissioner Yarbrough did speak about the show cause hearing on January the 28th, Community and Economic Development staff will be present to support residents of Benton Harbor at this show cause hearing at the county building. And finally, following the Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting tomorrow evening, we do invite commissioners and the public to a Sustainable Harbor Joint Municipality meeting at 7:30 at Lake Michigan College. Thank you.
What day is that?
The meeting is tomorrow at 7:30 at Lake Michigan College, Grand Upton Hall.
Thank you, Director Jennings. Chair recognizes our Deputy Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to let everyone know that voter ID cards were mailed to second and fourth ward voters, notifying them of their polling location change, which will take effect March 10th for the presidential primary election. And also, the city is in need of residents to apply to serve on the city income tax board of review. You must be a city resident. For more information, you can contact the clerk. Thank you.
Chair recognizes City Manager Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to add a caveat here to statements made by the Community and Economic Development Director, and that is that the ownership of the building will remain with the city. We're not giving away anything. Okay. The other thing is for you commissioners. You have the golf agreement, and I'm asking each of you to write down your concerns so that we can get those and get a planned session together and get a package off to them. Can we do that by when?
Put it in writing.
I'm sorry?
Put it in writing.
Put it in writing. Okay, I'll put it in writing.
Chair recognizes our Fourth Ward Commissioner Harrelson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out, seeing your government in action on tonight. Thank you, saw a lot of action. I did go on the trip on Friday and it was so enlightening. I really enjoyed it. The tour that we took with two buildings, it was really something to see. And I think Benton Harbor would love that. If we could get something like that in Benton Harbor. I think I might even get a membership. But it was enjoyable, and then they fed us some good food. So much I couldn't eat it all, but it was a good job. We didn't have to. We was not out of any money of ours. Everything was on them, so, when they get ready to go again, let me know. Thank you.
The chair recognizes our third ward commissioner, Henry.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just gonna thank the citizens for sitting here listening to us. And then I wanna ask my colleagues if, we need to work on the suggestions of, the trash issue. The city manager we had a discussion, and we kinda all gave consensus. But there was nothing legal or resolution or memorandum to include the city manager to really move forward on this. And this is something that's critical and it needs to be done immediately. Thank you.
Chair recognizes second ward commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Chair. Thank everyone for coming out. And, I'd like to ask just everybody to hold me accountable what I'm supposed to be doing. If not, I can be a runaway train. So I ask you to make sure you hold me accountable for that. Actually, my question on even though it's passed, my question actually on that negotiating the 10-year thing was actually for something for the future. It wasn't for now. It wasn't for the vote now. I understood it was just for the district, but I do not like last minute thinking. So mine was to ask to have an option. And I think the citizens deserve an option. We should not be able to drive things down that they have no idea what it's about. Give them an option. They can either pick A or B. It's better than saying, hey, here's A, that's all you're gonna get. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Love you all.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson of the first ward.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, and I'll just say, continue to keep an open mind, about the city and what's happening in the city. Again, you may agree or disagree, but I will just say, keep an open mind about, what you see, what you hear, because we need to have an open mind. But I also like to say, I did get an opportunity to visit the Heights Center, and, as, Community and Economic Development Director, Ms. Jennings said, it was a beautiful facility and a great partnership that Wayne County had with the city. The building was running them, I think, at upwards of $1.5 million a year to run. And so they partnered with this Hype Athletics, who took over managing the facilities and also built a new facility that would be something that our city could really benefit from, because a lot of those costs would not be on the city, but we will still be in partnership, and it still would be our program, which is a win-win. Great basketball courts, swimming facilities. Ours may look different because of the size and the location, but there are some potential partnerships that I think would be great for the city. And so I look forward to hearing the proposal set for next month's public safety meeting. It'll be coming out too. So those things are on the horizons. So have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. That's been put on our agenda, so we're going to spread the word about that organization, and we'll be coming to the Public Safety Committee next month to do a presentation. So if you want to spread the word and get some idea for yourself on what they're proposing, that way you can have your comments or questions and be involved in that process. Tonight was a long night, and I want my colleagues, citizens, on being careful and asking questions and try to get some answers and stuff. Also gotta be mindful, not to be so careful that we don't do nothing. Cause, we don't do nothing, it's just, we never get ahead. So, some things, investment, you gotta take some risk, but it's up to us. When we agree on some things to happen, we get that agreement, it's up to us to make sure that is followed, make sure the process is, like I said, make sure it benefits the community as a whole. I think somewhere along the line, a lot of times, that was the problem. The ball was dropped, on this side. So we got to make sure that don't happen to make this community, thrive and thrive for the folks who've been suffering for so long. So it's on us, ask the questions, some of us take the beating for it, but in the end, it's a high risk, high yield. So let's just keep our eyes open and try to make the best decisions that's going to benefit the community as a whole.
Thank you, Commissioner Singleton. Commissioner Isom.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to thank all the citizens for attending tonight, hanging out with us. All the comments made by the public. I listened to a great radio show yesterday on Keeping It Real. Great show last night, yesterday afternoon, Mr. Nard and Mr. Haywood. Great show, recognizing Martin Luther King Jr. A lot of good comments. Do a good job of letting your voice go out there to the public. What's been our beat? Another clean audit. I think it's 2 years in a row now. Clean audit. No deficiencies or findings, but we had a little recommendation from the state. But besides that, we all good. You can count for your money. That's a good thing. Don't forget to get your water tested. Tell your friends, your neighbors. It's very important. Get your water tested. I think they needed 60 people. I think we just only got 39. So tell your peeps. And we do, and from personnel finance, in the process of looking for a personnel finance director. Very important for your city to have by charter. By the charter, says you got to have a finance director, and it's going to happen. So you got a lot of things in place that's happening in the city. And don't forget to visit your public libraries. Very important. Visit your public library. We got a lot of stuff going on down there. I know a lot of you probably don't go. Try it. You see what we got down there. A lot of things. That's part of Ben Harbor too, right? Right across the street. A lot of activities for your kids, even adults. So, learn how to read, brush up on your reading. Got plenty of books. Black History Month is coming up in a couple weeks. So read your Black History book, a lot of things like that. And All Faiths building, it's a great thing. It's a nice, pretty building down there. 1.5 mil we're gonna put into it. Got a lot of stuff going on in Ben Harbor. We got the Novo projects. So we're gonna have growing jobs. Everything is falling in place. We got a good team here. I look to my right, I look to my left. We got going on. We got it's teamwork. A little yelling and fussing sometimes, but it's all family, That's what it's all about. So we're gonna get this thing done. God bless you. God bless Ben Harbor. Expect great things come to that door.
Thank you, Commissioner Isom. Commissioner at Large Al.
Thank you, and thank you, my colleague, Isom. So much has been talked about. The greatest thing, I want to first of all thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedule to come down here and see how your government is working for you or not. As it relates to the business. Too bad that they didn't come forward paying $5 grand like all the other businesses recently did within the last year. But that's just business, and there are different types of businesses. When I could step out of myself and know that I can't do anything, especially down here with city government by myself, I have to talk about we. Some things just bother me, but something came to my attention that one of my colleagues mentioned, and it was something that I hadn't heard about in a long time, and I would really like to hear an update on the corridor. Res Corey sold that him and one of our commissioners was working on, and that's something that really needs to continue to happen as well. Commissioner Henderson mentioned the corridor that's up the hill from this new facility that's going to be going on. I can see, I'm stepping outside and visualizing, looking at Yarborough Park. And I'm glad to see Mayor Yarborough's wife present and guarding what you're more entitled to guard. Because this is not just my city. And when I make decisions, I don't just make them for me or two or three. I'm making them for the community as a whole and making sure that I can look deep within and see how it will benefit something as opposed to nothing. And sometimes it's hard decision. And I want to thank Mr. Haywood. I listened to the show yesterday too. And I had to start laughing because there's some things that are being worked on that some people don't even know. Because sometimes what I've noticed myself is that I've sat in this very seat for the past 8 years and shared too much to see it happening up the street. That won't happen again, not for me. But I command and take my hat off and salute whoever is doing whatever is positive for this community. But as we, as decision makers, need to do what we need to do, we're going to do it. We're going to do it because it's going to affect all of us. We're all residents, taxpayers, some of more than one property. There's a lot of things that need to be taking place. Training, jobs, all that. And I just want to see it continue. And this is it. That's it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, and my constituents, my staff, well, not our staff. Where do you start? In honor of Martin Luther King, stuff that I think the citizens asked for, it's not that hard, but we need the head shake to the citizens like we do for people that come in from everywhere else. I commend Inspector Jackson for welcoming me into the city, one of the most qualified men in the city for construction. He's a licensed journeyman carpenter, and there's a lot of projects going on. We do need help in the inspection department, so I welcome him on to the city. Mr. Haywood has qualifications for the water department. I mean, we have a lot of people who've been awful talented, and we should have more community involvement when there's money and resources coming in. I do concur with Mr. Duncan that there should be a water fountain out there park. When you have children playing in that heat, there should be some type of water for at least the children, or to wash their hands. Because right a little bit up the block there, you got a place where they clean their fish and everything else. The boaters, they got their little own private areas, so I don't see a problem with an honor of Mr. Yarborough doing some beautification to our own parks and helping it not become privatized, but allowing the public to still have access, because it's kind of hard to get down there behind certain areas of fish. You know, I mean, they still fishing catfish down there and all kind of other stuff in there. And, you know, I do admire Cornerstone coming and bringing people to us. I thought they were gonna let the little brother speak with them, but they ain't let the brother say nothing, so hopefully next time they can play a part and letting everybody play a part in the presentation, you know, but they bring the brother with you just to make, you know, keep it look good. Moving forward, hopefully tomorrow night at our meeting, will be, gonna be quick, I guess, because we might have to hurry up and get over around the way, but tomorrow, if you want to play a part, this loan that we have coming up to pay, bring it to our committee for the $200,000 that we bring that another way. And hopefully city residents don't have to pay it. We can pay it with some money that we already got. We don't want to add another burden to the city residents. We need to find out a way to remedy these people from paying a lot of our decisions. A lot of our decisions they have to pay for. You know, I mean, there's some other money that when I went out a few weeks ago, still ain't heard too much about that. No update on anything, which ain't none of our business really, but I want to see the city government money. What has happened to it? And I do concur that I think as a body, we do need to come together. This is not about one big I, one little you. And we need to try to work out some differences, you know, because there's some grave lies that I hear from this body. You know, stuff that has been said that is just lies. I mean, just total, complete, utterly lies. You know, and the biggest closet to look in is your own. When you trying to find out somebody else, the Williams brothers said it like this. He said, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. Because if we open up some of these back doors and these doors, we'll find out that there's a whole lot of stuff that we need to sweep before we try to sweep around somebody else's business. So thank you, Honorable Mayor. Thank you, City Resident Body. I would just ask us that we do need some type of retreat. Maybe we need some counselors or something there to try to help. But we do definitely need some kind of retreat to get this this body together, because this is the only place it's happening in Benton Harbor. Thank you.
In the White House.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the residents for coming out, all the YouTube viewers as well. The city of Benton Harbor just received a clean, unmodified audit, which is a major, major accomplishment, the second year in a row, and the second time in a long time where the audit has been unmodified, which is the highest mark, as the auditor so stated. We do have a lot happening in the city of Benton Harbor. Projects, water meters. One resident came to me in the issue that they were having. They were not getting a qualified read, and then they later found out that the meter was dead. But, you know, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, now lead lines, you know, these are lines that have been 50, 60, 70, 80 years that need to be swapped out, replaced. But now, at this time, we have the monies to do certain things. The revenue from the income tax has put our financial situation in terms of increasing and muscling our financial status as a city. So that is another big kudos. In fact, I think we collected just around the same as far as with the property, which is commercial as well as residential. So the city is looking up. I think we need to also look at encouraging transformation in target areas, as well as rehabilitation of some of the vacant and underutilized buildings. We have a lot of vacant buildings in Benton Harbor, which an eyesore can turn into an opportunity. And I think that we are in a position as custodians and government officials to facilitate that process. Armory, case in point, has been desolate for years. The emergency manager tried selling it. It's just a disaster, but we did take a tour of it, and somebody mentioned a gold mine. There's areas in the armory that I had never seen. But it's sitting desolate. So hopefully, working with partnerships, we can bring life or breathe life back into something that was once dead. I think we have to be creative as a council. We will have disagreements, differences, but I think the key is how we manage our disagreements and differences. Do we carry it away from this table when we leave? Or can we smile and can we shake one another's hand, agree to disagree, come right back to the negotiating table, as Commissioner Edwards said, and hammer out the details for the betterment of the people. So I want to thank you for challenging me. I want to thank you for challenging staff, because a better you and a better me makes a better Benton Harbor. And I'd like to thank the residents for holding us accountable, even though we may get uncomfortable with some of your remarks and things that you may say. At the end of the day, it's about the betterment of our community. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I think it would be nice for you all to have a meeting, because we have to all get on the same
Commissioner
page.
Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Melton,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Heisel,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
I wonder.
Even you could do some
No.
You know how to do that.
No.